I'd like him to sort of introduce what he's working on at Firefly, and then also any comments you may have with respect to the comments that Gabriel just shared.
Well, thanks, Bob, and I want to thank George and Steve for inviting me to engage with this panel, and to thank all of you for attending today. Originally, the way we'd structure the panel was I would respond to Gabriel, and so what I want to talk about turns out to be a response that I think fits very well. So I think Gabriel and I wholeheartedly agree, but we're coming at it from completely different perspectives. But one thing that we absolutely agree on is going back to first principles. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about some first principles that you may have never heard of before. And so what I'd like you to do, I'm sure probably everyone in this room has heard of the simulation hypothesis, that we're all living in a simulation. Well, I want you to forget the simulation hypothesis, and I would like you to enter into the world of bisimulation theorems. Right? So I'm going to explain a little bit about what that means. You may have recalled at the top of Gabriel's talk, he talked about getting to planetary scale with these kinds of intelligence agents. And I think in general, humanity is terrible at scaling. And why is it terrible at scaling? Well, because the consequences of the way we scale end up being fairly disastrous. So I tend to ask, how does nature scale? And one of the ways that nature scales is through composition. So I'm just going to plant that like a seed, from a plant, from the natural world into your minds, and then I'm going to return to that idea towards the end of my response to Gabriel. And so, having planted that seed, keep that in the back of your mind, ready to bloom at some point. And now I want to turn to a couple of practical queries. These are queries which currently are not statable even in existing search and storage mechanisms, including AI-based search and storage mechanisms. So the first one is, find me all the small molecules from this repository, say SwissProt or one of the other chemistry or bio repositories, such that when I drop it into the cell signaling regime, in a certain concentration, the cell signaling regime never reaches a particular state. Now, why is that an interesting query to be able to articulate? Because the English translation is, find me a small molecule-based cure. Let me provide another query. Whoops, there we go. Let me provide another query that would be of interest. So find me so using this collection of CAD-based repositories that articulate the structure of aircraft, find me all the wires running from the nose of the aircraft passing through the midsection where aircraft flex, that are likely that undergo a twist. So the translation of that query in English is, find me likely sources of electrical shorts. Now, again, in today's systems, you can't write those queries down. It turns out, however, there's an algorithm, in fact, there's a family of algorithms that allow us to generate query languages and query processors that process those kinds of queries. They can be generated from the domain languages where you naturally find these kinds of questions. So in particular, the first one can be generated from the language of chemistry, and the second one can be generated from geometric algebra, also known as Clifford algebra. So the interesting point about the kinds of query languages that this algorithm generates is that the queries are perfectly explainable. We can find cause and effect style reasoning that goes into the processing of those queries. Now you're wondering, where does this algorithm arise from? Probably. So the algorithm arises from a notion from theoretical computer science that you've probably never heard of by the name it's given in that community, and that name is bisimulation. But you know it by another slogan, and that slogan is, anything you can do, I can do. Right? And if we have time, and the other talk ran a bit over, so we probably won't have time to get to it, but if we have time, I'll address what happens if you add better. Anything you can do, I can do better at the end of that phrase. Now, what's interesting about this principle is that it classifies all computational behavior. That's really important. Right, so the mathematicians or mathematically adjacent in the audience probably remember what a big deal it was a couple of decades ago when all finite simple groups were classified. Right, that was a huge deal because in some sense it meant we understood all the mechanics underlying notions of certain kinds of symmetry. Right, so bisimulation does this for all computational behavior. Now, what does this have to do with AI? So I want to argue that AI is a misnomer. And again, very much in agreement with what Gabriel was saying, but coming at it from a different perspective. So he's motivated by biological systems, and I resonate with that, but I also want to understand it in terms of compute. Right? Because I believe that right now with the premise underlying the AI industry is that there's at least a class of practical, useful aspects of human intelligence that can be represented as computation. So even in Gabriel's presentation, ultimately he's rendering what he's doing in software, right? So he's still bought into the idea that when we're doing AI, we're reducing at least certain aspects of and I would argue human intelligence to computation. And not just any computation, because there's all kinds of computations we can imagine, right? But we're talking about computation that can be rendered on machines that we can produce and manipulate at scale. Okay, so the right word is computational intelligence, or CI, and CI presupposes that a particular world of intelligent actors, for example, the kinds of things that Gabriel was talking about as agents, live inside the world of computations. Now, what bisimulation says is everything in that world can be completely classified. That means that any denizens of that world, for example, an algorithm that can learn, can also learn no finer classification of phenomena than bisimulation equivalence classes. So if you come up with some algorithm that can classify things in the world, it's actually never classifying things in the world. It's only ever classifying computational representations. And those things can, the finest classification of those phenomena is in terms of bisimulation. So these facts are at the heart of this algorithm that I mentioned, and it's at the heart of query engines that Firefly is building. Actually, we're building sort of a meta query engine that allows you to generate those query engines at scale. Now, how do we get to planetary scale? So I want to argue that the natural world scales through composition. Now, so what do I mean by that? So in terms of the standard model, which we all know is probably wrong, but it's the best we've got, atoms are made of quarks, leptons, and bosons. And molecules are made of atoms, and proteins are made of molecules, cells are made of proteins, organisms are made of cells, populations are made of organisms, right? So the thing to take away from this is that composition is really the bedrock of a proposition that is at the heart of Western science, right? So the view of Western science as taking a reductive view of the world is really backwards. What Western science is really saying is that the natural world is built through composition, right? We compose cells to make organisms. And so the sense intelligence is a naturally occurring phenomena, right? Right? We are all biological organisms in this room. Shouldn't we expect that an effective account of intelligence should be deeply compositional? So what bisimulation does is it classifies all computational behavior because it exposes the deep compositional structure of computation, right? So computation actually has building blocks, and bisimulation exposes those building blocks. In terms of this principle, anything you can do, I can do. And that is how we begin the process of scaling.